Today I'm going to be talking about the ideal, perfect, most amazing gay queer male relationship and how you can achieve that for yourself. My name is Tom Brewitt, and I am a relationship expert who works with gay and queer men to improve their relationship with themselves and with their partner or partners. What I was just starting with may be a little tongue-in-cheek for some of you. There is no one perfect roadmap or set of instructions that I can give you that will create the perfect queer or gay male relationship for you, but I can talk about some concepts that I think will be useful as you are creating the relationship of your dreams. The foundation of a strong, thriving queer relationship is mutual interdependence. This is the 7th stage of the 7 queer relationship stages that I've been describing in this video series. And I'm going to be going into more detail about what mutual interdependence is and how you can use it to cultivate a thriving, beautiful queer relationship for yourself. I'm also going to be sharing with you an exercise that you and your partner or partners can do today to start incorporating some of these concepts into your relationship. But I'll get to that in a little bit. I want to start with what is the definition of mutual interdependence. When I'm talking about mutual interdependence in a relationship, I'm talking about a relationship where all of the people in the relationship can rely on one another in lots of different ways. I'm not talking about a codependent or a meshed relationship where people are so dependent on one another that they do not have the ability to stand on their own 2 feet. That is not at all what I'm describing here. I'm talking about a relationship where people can move effortlessly back and forth between periods of individual and self-growth and relationship development and relationship growth. This is a relationship where people can have their individuality, and they can also have the deep, meaningful, connected, beautiful things that most of us want from a relationship with an intimate partner. This is important because when we're in a relationship, hopefully the whole of the relationship can be better or bigger than the sum of the individual parts of the people who are in that relationship. In order to create a relationship where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, there are certain criteria that need to be met in order for the relationship to feel meaningful for all of the people involved. One of the really important things is having periods of bonding and reconnection. I talked about that in a previous video, but it's really important to be able to know how to reconnect with your partner or partners when there have been periods of distance or periods of self-discovery and exploration, or when there have been periods of conflict. When conflict happens, it's really, really important that you know how to repair. One of the things that I hear sometimes from people who are nervous about getting into a relationship is that they don't want to lose their individuality. They don't want to lose the things that are important to them. I want to tell you very emphatically that I don't think a relationship is truly thriving if you have to lose parts of yourself in order to stay in that relationship. If you're in a relationship where that feels true to you, I would encourage you to do some work on that relationship and some work on yourself, and maybe think about if that relationship is working for you. Because personally, I never want to lose myself in order to stay in relationship with somebody else. I have certainly done that in previous points in my life, and I will never do that again. You can be an individual inside of a relationship. You can be a thriving individual inside of a thriving relationship. But that does involve the ability to use some relationship muscles that are uncomfortable for many of us. If you have learned to avoid conflict at all costs, it's going to be difficult to bring something up with a partner or partners that's important to you if you fear it may cause conflict in the relationship. On the other hand, if you're used to getting what you want by being louder, meaner, more difficult, that's going to make it tricky to actually stay in connection with somebody else. You may be able to be an individual, but at what cost? There may be some corrosive things that you're doing to the relationship in order to hold on to your individuality. And you don't need to do either of those things in order to stay in a thriving partnership. That's why the concept of mutual interdependence inside of a relationship is so essential for a thriving partnership. Many of us as queer men have been brought up in a society that does not support this idea of mutual interdependence. What do I mean by that? If you were raised male, at least in American culture, you've probably been taught a few different things about what being a successful man means in our culture. Oftentimes, there is that phrase, you need to stand on your own 2 feet. That means, to me, that you can't really ask for help or that it means that you're less of a man if you actually rely on somebody for emotional needs or any other kind of needs that come up inside of a relationship. One of the other messages that we often get when we're raised as male is that it's important to be stoic and independent and successful. And successful usually means you make the most money or you achieve the most career notoriety or success or whatever that may mean to you or, to whoever was telling you that as a child. Those messages can make it really difficult to actually rely on a partner in a meaningful and vulnerable way. And if you're not able to rely on a partner, then it becomes very difficult to actually build something that is bigger than the sum of its parts. I hope this concept of mutual interdependence is resonating with some of you. Now I want to share with you an exercise that you can use with your partner or partners today to start cultivating this idea of what does mutual interdependence mean to you in your specific relationship. The exercise I want to talk about with you today is something that I'm calling Little Dream, Big Dream. It's very simple. I'm going to break it down step by step for you. But basically, I'm going to encourage you to start thinking about a small, achievable dream that you and your partner or partners can start working on today. And then I also want you to set your sights a little bit broader and think about a really big dream that maybe feels almost impossible right now in your relationship. And, with some time and some practice and some work, can potentially be possible. The process is simple. We're going to start with the small dream. So step one, I want you to think about a small dream inside of your relationship that feels possible. This small dream may be, we are going to take a road trip together this year and we're not going to fight. Or we are going to take a cooking class and we are going to cook Thanksgiving dinner next year for our entire family and friend circle. Something small. Now, one of those things that I just mentioned may not feel small to you. It may feel really big, and that's okay. So save that for the larger dream exploration. So take some time and think about what's a small dream that you want to cultivate in your partnership. So step two, journal on this dream, brainstorm, take a walk and think about it. However you like to brainstorm and dream things up, do that about this small dream that you want to incorporate into your relationship. Now we're going to move on to the big dream. So step three is think about a big dream that feels almost impossible right now in your partnership. Maybe for some of you that may be, we are going to live abroad for 3 months in 3 years. Or we are going to have a child. Some people want to have a child and that feels really out of reach. What is a big dream that you personally have for your partnership or relationship? Again, for step four, I want you to brainstorm on that. Journal, meditate, talk to friends, whatever you do, talk to your therapist, whatever you do to brainstorm and think about things for yourself. Now it's time to share these dreams with your partner or partners. I want to give you some instructions for how to do this. First and foremost, only one person can speak at a time. I would recommend breaking it up. So somebody shares a small dream, somebody listens, and then the other person or people share their small dream and the other people listen. And then do the same thing with the bigger dream. A couple of things to keep in mind as you're listening and sharing. When you're sharing, do everything you can to speak from your perspectives. I know that I statements can feel a little bit cliche, but that's because they actually work. So speak from your perspective. If you're the person listening, just listen. You don't have to solve the problem. You don't have to figure out how to make that dream a reality right now. All you need to do is listen and try to understand what's important to your partner in that moment. As men, we have been so conditioned to solve problems, to get things done, to muscle things through. This exercise is not about that at all. We're talking about big dreams and mutual interdependence inside of your relationship. And one small step towards that is being able to really communicate with your partner in a way that feels generous and open and is not about solving problems. Take some time to experiment with this today and let me know how it goes.